Hi boys and girls, Miss Dawson here. I am going to go over decimals on a number line and the different ways that it might look. So, I have my math journal here, and I am going to first draw a blank number line. Now, my number line is going to have a starting point and an ending point. You're going to have to pay close attention to this when you're dealing with decimals on a number line. So, for example, I might have 2 7/10, and then over here it says 2 8/10. So, what you have to do is you have to think what could be in the middle of these two. Well, I knew that 2 7/10 is the same as 2 70/100, and 2 8/10 is the same as 2 80/100. So now I want you to think of it as more as being 70 and 80. So think of the numbers that would be between 70 and 80. So I know right in the middle of those two is 2 and 75. So you kind of have to use some background knowledge to figure out what these numbers might be. Now, a lot of times it will have it look like this, and it'll say, identify this point. You'll have to figure out what this is. So if you just had 2 7/10 and 2 8/10, it might be kind of hard to figure out. But when you start filling in the numbers that you know, it's easier to figure out what this missing point might be. So we have 275, 276, 277. So I just kind of count it in my head. So this would be 2 77/100. So I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to actually fill it in, and we're going to go through the process together. So let's say this is 1 6/10, and this is 1 7/10, and then we have all these numbers in the middle. There we go, and we have a point right here. So your job is to figure out what is being represented right there. So this is 1 6, this is 1 7. If it's something like this, your first tip is to put a 0 after these. So now think of it as 60 and 70. So you have to try and figure out, if this is 60 and this is 70, and I have these spots, you try and figure out how much it's going up each time. So we have, this is 1 60, this would be 61, 62, 63. So I think this is 1.63 or 1 63/100, but I'm going to keep counting on to see if that makes sense. So 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, and then that would be 70. So then your missing point would be 1 63/100. Let's do one more. You're going to see a lot of these. You have to kind of use your background knowledge to fill in what it might be. So let's say this one is just 8, and this one is just 9. Well, you know that your number is going to be in the middle of 8 and 9. I'm going to fill in the rest of the tick marks. And let's say we're looking for one that's right here. Now you have to ask yourself, if I'm dealing with a number that's in between two whole numbers, we know there's got to be a decimal in there. Well, if it's 10 spaces between them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then maybe it's going up by a 10th each time. So let's see if that would make sense. 8 1/10, 8 2/10, 8 3/10. 8 4/10. So I think this one is going to be 8 5/10, but you can continue. You can write it in, or you can just count it in your head. So 8 5/10, 8 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, and then we get back to our whole number of 9. So this was right. So right in the middle was 8 5/10. Let's do one more to try and figure it out. Sometimes it will look like this. It will be a number line. Oops. And it'll have marks. So like, let's say this is 6.5, And this one over here is 7.5. And then you have marks in the middle of these. And yours is right here. So the first part of the number line doesn't really help us. It's more the second half of the number line that helps us. So we know this is 6.5, this is 7.5. You have to think, what is this going up by each time to get from here to here? So then I think it's gonna go up by a 1/10. So 6.6, 6.7, 6.8, 6.9. So I think this is 6.9. So what would come after 6.9? It would turn into a whole number again. It would be 7, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, and then 7.5 is this last notch. So it's kind of a guessing game as to what it might be. Use the number of spaces, use your starting point and your ending point to help you figure out what it might be. And those are some tips to figure out decimals on number lines. See you next time.